Oh, what happened to your virtual background? Was that what was messing you up?
The what?
The virtual background, was that what was messing you up?
Oh, no, I can put one up.
Virtual here, and I'll move this around so that the branding is more clearly visible. I feel like I need to change the colors on these.
Uh,
Like my text. Nope, that wasn't it. Somehow I'm totally okay. That worked. Oh, it won't let me change the color of the logo because I already have it as like a saved background image. All right, the wash up. Whoa, I can't spell. And the wannabe. Okay, and now I should be able to change the color of it.
okay, I have to go to settings, virtual background,
Yep.
zero virtual
Welcome
background.
everybody in. Welcome everybody in. As you can tell, this is we're so professional that we're on it right now. We're on time and we have all of our, but we don't. We really don't. We're working on it. This is a work in progress. This is week 2 of the wash up and the wannabe. I am the wannabe, Brad Kelly, and Ammon, my co-host, who's not introducing himself, is the wash up.
Oh, sorry.
You can tell which one of us can multitask. It's not Ammon.
Ground forward. So anyway,
Oh man, there's no good color to go over all these. Like, oh, I mean, I guess the original color is probably the. All right,
that's all right. The old one.
all right, and then I'm gonna turn this yellow as well because apparently, oh yeah, that's very clear. Okay, so we're gonna hit OK, and then I'm gonna update my virtual background because I was so smart. Everybody, I tried to put all the branding and everything in our virtual background or my virtual background, and then as you can see I'm literally covering up the branding. So I'm gonna not act like a rookie, and I'm gonna, which is funny because I have 2 rookies on the screen behind me. There we go. Okay, check out this professionalism. My co-host.
You're
Look
doing
at
great.
that. Look at that.
Hey.
Literally, it does. It's not even in the way now. You got Tuesdays at, oh, except I'm gonna have to change the time. It's supposed to be 8:45 Central. All right, we're gonna ignore this because we have things to get to, and nobody wants to watch us fix our virtual backgrounds all night long. This episode, like every episode, brought to you by Ginseng Up, which apparently, there we go. It's brought to you by Ginseng Up. Um, I have so much of this stuff. Ammon, if you want some ginseng up to drink while we're on air, you see that even though it is currently a balmy 84 degrees in my office, I'm still wearing this long sleeve Boston Celtics championship t-shirt brought
Hey.
brought to you by my co-host, Ammon the
Hey, it
Wash
looks
Up.
good.
It
Looks
does.
good.
Championship looks
You
good
wear
on
it
me.
well.
Thank you, Ammon.
You wear it well. Yeah.
Here's to the Boston Celtics 18th championship, probably their 19th too.
Yeah, let me grab a water. I'll drink to that.
Yeah, you can pretend like there's something interesting in your. Woo! Are you a
Ooh.
ginger guy? Do you drink ginger?
Depends on what kind of drink it is.
This is very spicy and I love it. Okay. So let's not wait too long. The first topic that's up for discussion, as you can tell from my virtual background, is going to be the conversation between Angel Reese, who I'm guessing in this picture is showing Caitlin Clark her ring, as in my championship ring, as in I have one, you don't. Because LSU won the women's WNBA, no, women's collegiate,
Collegiate, yeah. NCAA.
right, championship 2 years ago. Because this year, and they must have beat South Carolina, right?
In 2 years ago?
Because I
Yeah, I
feel
mean,
like when I was listening to Don Staley, the coach of South Carolina women's team. She said that she felt like her team was so mad about what took place last season that they went undefeated and didn't lose a single game this entire collegiate women's season and just stomped everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I go back that the year, let's see, LSU women's basketball championship. On April 2023, LSU would defeat the Iowa Hawkeyes by the score of to win their first ever national championship. But I feel like on the way to that, they beat the South. Either Iowa or LSU had to have beaten the. Can it give me like a season rundown? What is happening? There's a lot of numbers on my screen right now. I don't know why it's so hard to find who they beat. 2000.
We just look up. I mean, it would be. They have the. Do they do a March Madness?
Okay, right? So first round was Rice. Second round was Middle Tennessee. Okay, so last year they lost in the Elite Eight to Iowa, which we know. The year before that, they beat Iowa. It had to have been Iowa then that beat South Carolina the year before. And I want to say that's right. And they were not interested in doing it again this year. And so I think the average margin of victory for that women's basketball team was equivalent to the margin of victory for the Connecticut men's team.
Oh wow.
It was
so they took your business, yeah.
Oh, they sent everybody home. What if I go South Carolina women's basketball championship? All right. Ooh, man. Winning in 2017, 2022, and 2024. So really, you could see why they're mad about 2023 because they could have had a three-peat. That's some stuff right there.
Yeah, that makes sense. They were just pissed off and said, "Forget this. We're going all the way this year."
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Gosh, where is their season? Score, stats, highlights. Let's hope it's easier to find. They won the national championship by 12 points. I'll tell you that. Oh, okay. Here we go. They beat LSU. We were looking about the year before. Well, let me just for shoots and ladders, let me tell you about their run to the championship for South Carolina women's basketball. They beat number 11 UConn 83-65.
Yep.
Tennessee, they only beat them 66-55. So this must have been the SEC tournament. Well, so it looks I
was going to say, are you looking at the NCAA bracket?
Here, no, I'll show you. Here we can in the modern age we can put stuff like this right on the board and everybody can see what we're looking at. So it looks like to end the season. Well, we could even go before that because.
Oh, you're talking about before the tournament.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because what I'm saying is like they were so dominant. Just gander at these scores. Yeah. Starting with 91-74, 76-54, 85-56. These are 30-point wins. Here's a 38-point win versus Missouri. Then they spanked UConn. Then they still beat Tennessee by double digits. Mm-hmm. Then they're like, nah, not good enough. So now we're back up to 14 points. Then they're like, nah, that's really not good enough. 72-4. And then they're like, no, we have even more. And they won by 48 points. And you see that? That's at Kentucky.
Yeah.
So they went to Rupp Arena and beat the Lady Wildcats by almost 50 points. And then
almost doubled, yeah.
Yeah, they almost doubled their score. And then they proceeded to once again spank Arkansas to open up the SEC tournament. Then, oh, by the way, they beat Tennessee again. Then they ended up facing Tennessee again in the NCAA tournament. Man, it really is hard to beat the same team 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
But they still did it by, I mean, it's by one, but all wins count.
Yep.
And then they
Win
beat
game.
LSU. Yeah, I mean, golly, you look at that Kentucky score. Oh my gosh, Ammon, 99-29.
Yeah.
What 104-38. They put a 70 burger on Morgan State University. They put 109 on Clemson, 109-40. Dude, okay, so I think I proved my point there.
Yeah.
The South Carolina women's basketball team it's different stuff. They were made of different stuff. Okay, Eamon. So I have to ask as let's see, stop sharing. There we go. As I put my Caitlin versus and Caitlin, whether it's the modest way in which she conducts her life, or it's just who she is, or whether she's just sick after 4 years of hearing about Angel Reese versus which she easily could be sick of it. Do you have a WNBA Rookie of the Year right now between these two?
Well, I mean, I don't even think Angel Reese is in the discussion. I don't think Angel Reese is any good, in my opinion.
Okay, so let me just have this fat. What's up, my pimp Joe? Joe, how are you doing? Are you calling in from Burlington, Joe, or did they let you out? Are you home now? Did they let you out? Welcome in, Mr. Joe Sink. And then I will fill in that private chat and give you that run of show here. But I warned you on Sunday we were definitely going to talk.
So Caitlin's definitely Rookie of the Year. I don't think that. I mean that goes without saying. She's already changing the game of basketball. I mean, we'll talk about it in more detail. Or yeah, I was going to say.
By the way, this is Angel Reese. She just beat Candace Parker. You don't even have to watch the NBA to know who Candace Parker is. 13 back-to-back double doubles. She broke Candace Parker. Are you sure about Angel Reese not being in the conversation? Are you sure?
Here's what I'm going to say about that. Majority of those are rebounds that she's getting from her own missed shots. I'll say it that way.
Wow. That is
it's really good. It looks really good when you get a miss and rebound yourself 3 times and it's at the stat block. That's all I gotta say.
Oh wow. Well,
yep.
I just want to say, if we're talking about Angel Reese's rebound, she loves her a double-double, but she ain't never been a rebound herself. And I that's savage. That's savage. That girl, she knows what she's doing. So that's an interesting point. Is you as the shooter obviously have the best understanding of where your ball is going to go.
Yep.
So is there a stat? So do you have a stat to back that up, that some huge percentage of her rebounds are coming from her own missed shots?
That's a good point. I should probably back up my statement.
Yeah, I was like, can you back that up?
That's entirely subjective.
Well, because here's the thing that we could. Okay, CBSSports.com. Okay, so if I go to CBSSports.com and I go to WNBA and I go to scores and we go back to, oh man, what day was that? If today's the 7th, July 7th.
Hey, here we go. I found it.
Go for it.
Offense so far, Angel Reese has 97 offensive rebounds. Guess how many of those are from her own missed shots?
Oh no, 76.
Yeah. It's not that bad, but it's a third.
I mean,
34.
So where did you go?
Rebounds consist of your own missed shots.
Okay, but
right.
How were you able to look that up?
I literally typed in Angel Reese rebounds from missed shots.
That's intense. Can you do the same for Caitlin Clark?
Rebounds from her missed shots?
Yeah, because here's what I want to because we're a little used to the NBA game, Ammon, and
Mhm.
percentages are different in women's basketball currently. And if I go and I look at Caitlin Clark, she was 3 for 12 from 3-point land, and this is from her triple double, and she has 12 rebounds. So Ammon, the question is, on her 10 missed shots, how many of those 12 rebounds for Caitlin Clark are her own missed shots?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's see if I can find it in the same.
Yeah, see if we can, because I don't. Sadly, in the NBA, they give you offensive and defensive rebounds, but there does not seem to be a breakdown in
Okay, so
whether or
there
not.
is. I'll send you a link. So I guess something to go against my. So I sent you a link. So that's a article to go against my
Okay.
statement.
Okay.
Where it says Angel Reese rebounded controversy. The
Oh,
proof that yeah. So this is literally an article on exactly what I just said, and it was actually published today.
yes.
It says Angel Reese rebounded controversy. The proof that Sky Rookie isn't stat padding and is WNBA's best rebounder. So let's see.
Well, did you see the margin of victory she has over the next leading rebounder in the WNBA?
Mm-mm. Haven't seen it.
Okay. That's just talking about offensive
Oh,
rebounds.
actually, yeah. So no, it's Ezzy Magbegger. She's 62 offensive rebound versus
Yeah.
Angel Reese.
Well, right, but what I'm saying, that's just offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
Rebound leaders. Okay, here we go. Points per game. Okay, where's just straight up? Why is it all per game?
She has 4.9 offensive rebounds per game.
Yeah, but where's just the straight up stats? Oh my gosh, why is this so hard? The margin she has over the next closest player is something like 40 rebounds. It's like
For total rebounds,
yeah,
offensive and defensive.
yeah. For total rebounds, she is leading the WNBA by something like 40 plus rebounds. It is a huge. The next closest player isn't even close in rebounding.
Okay.
So
should I double down and still say that I think she's all washed up?
Look, oh, what? Okay. I mean, you could. Why is there a giant ad showing in my? All right, where's my? Okay, let me cut that tab out. Okay, so the other thing that Skip pointed out on. Do you watch Undisputed?
Sometimes, yeah.
I love those folks on Undisputed, and one of the things that he pointed out was Caitlin Clark's second half stats are atrocious. His concern, and again, I really have to take this with a grain of salt, because Skip had the same sort of concern about Jayson Tatum all the way through the playoffs. Jayson Tatum, Jayson Tatum, right? And at the end of the day, you and I talked last show about Jayson Tatum's shift from being the guy, like literally he led the NBA at one point with the most 30-point games in the season. His average points per game led the NBA above 30 points above all other players. And
have a champion.
It did not result in a championship.
Yep.
But the second he's like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win the game.
Yeah.
And he's getting double doubles and triple doubles, and those points are going from 30 to 16, but his assists are also going from 3 to 12. Now all of a sudden he's an NBA champ. Oh no, I just disappeared. This is so hard with my virtual background to like rub this in everyone's face.
It's disappearing you.
I know.
There you go.
All right. Right there. Okay.
There you go. You got
all right. Yeah. He's an NBA champion. I'll put that up later. He's an NBA champion. So I understand at the margin what Skip is saying about, Angel Reese is disappearing the second half. She should be putting the team on her back. But first of all, I got to tell you, if you're on a 3 for 12 night shooting 3-pointers, I think Caitlin Clark is smart enough to know it ain't her night.
Yep.
Why would she keep throwing those up?
Yep.
When Aaliyah Boston is in the paint and is crushing it. Right? So I don't know. I'd like to think that the thing we learned from the Celtics is that it's not all about the best player scoring the most points. Thoughts?
Yeah, and I think so. I think there's going to be. I think we're going to see a very. We're going to see the careers of these two players diverge in a very interesting way, in my opinion. So I think what we're going to see is we're going to see a. I feel like Angel Reese is very selfish and kind of conceited.
Really?
She's all about the trash talk. She's all about the, like when you saw her teammate freaking body check Caitlin Clark, and then she's going and hugging her and high five. Like I think she's got just a ton of, I don't know if it's hate, but like angst or animosity towards Caitlin. Caitlin has zero. Like Caitlin might on the inside might be frustrated or whatever, but like she plays with the calm, cool of a professional. Like to me, Kate or the way that what's her face, man, my brain just Angel Reese
Angel
is
Reese.
handling things in like the media and stuff just seems to be very like she says she has no beef with Caitlin and it's all love, and then on the court she's beating her up, or banging around or trash talking her and all this stuff. And I'm kind of like, I think we're gonna see Angel Reese divert to a it's all about me stat padding and stat padding, like rebounding and all these things. And I think we're going to see Caitlin Clark do things like triple doubles, like you were saying, where she's got an off night and she doesn't care. She just gets the job done and does it for the team. I think we're going to see Caitlin Clark really blossom as a team player and as a prolific scorer because she understands the game of basketball in a different way than Angel Reese does. I think that's just because of their personalities more than anything. So
So let me. All right. Let me. Did you see the post game interview when LSU won the national championship?
I didn't watch that.
Okay, so there. I mean, you already know I'm like Mister. Listen to the post game.
Yeah.
That's just my thing. So one of the biggest things that came out of that was the question that was posed to Angel Reese about. I don't know if it was even a question that was posed to Angel Reese about being a villain, but essentially the question was, are you okay or are you comfortable in that role? And she really kind of, now that she had won the championship, told everybody can just shut up, kind of like Jayson Tatum. So I get it. That now that nobody could say she wasn't good enough, she wasn't she wasn't at the pinnacle, she wasn't the best. And clearly, after winning the championship that year, they could say that they were the best. No one else was better. They beat everybody.
Mm-hmm.
She really broke down and was like, I don't think any of you, all you reporters, all you media, everybody understand what it's like to be the villain all the time, to always be compared to this person and that person, to constantly have Angel Reese, Angel Reese, Angel Reese, Angel Reese, Angel Reese, Angel Reese all the time. And it's really hard as a human being to be treated like that. And I think the thing that really makes me kind of take a step back is, let's be honest, Angel Reese is black and Caitlin Clark is white. And when Caitlin Clark gave people the John Cena, I can't see you, everyone was like, oh, that chick is so competitive. Oh, I like her fire. Oh my gosh, she's so fun to watch. But as soon as Angel Reese showed her championship ring finger in Caitlin Clark's eyeball, which was deserved because Caitlin is the same kind of player, Angel Reese received death threats. She was told to die. She was told to get out of the game. She was told she was classless. And I have to tell you, to me, two women exerting themselves the exact same way and being treated completely different, that's called racism. So let me show you just a few of. That's fine. I'll take the villain role. I'll take the hit for it. But I know we're growing women's basketball. You either like it or you don't. All year I was critiqued about who I was. I'm too hood. I'm too ghetto. Y'all told me that all year. When other people do it, y'all don't say nothing. This was for the girls that look like me, which I thought was very powerful when
Okay.
when she had that podium and she was giving that she's like she's acknowledging that this is what it feels like. This is what it looks like to be treated like this, even though not not that you are just as good as, but that you are better than categorically in the sport of women's basketball. Angel Reese for 2020 was better than every other women's college basketball player and
Yeah.
was treated repeatedly. Um, so, and then there's one more. I don't think people realize it's not personal. Me and Caitlin Clark don't hate each other. I want everybody to understand that. It's just super competitive. Once I get between those lines, there are no friends. I'm going to talk trash to you. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get in your head the whole entire game. But after the game, we can kick it. And that sort of statement, that sort of when the whistle blows and we're between the line, has been said by men's basketball players 100 times.
I believe it to a point. I believe it to a point. I definitely think that statement is true, depending on the people. I also think it's not true for some people. I think there's definitely some hate and some animosity between players. So, like, I think people will say that generally speaking. That generally speaking, you're between the lines, you're going to be competitive. But yeah, there's definitely beef between players for sure. So, like, I think that comment was during the LSU days. I don't think that was recent. I still see, you know, again, that moment where Kaylin gets body checked by her teammate and Angel Reese is giving a big old hug to her teammate, high fiving her for beating the freaking pretty body check. And I'm like, okay, like I don't think like
you don't
I
think
hear what
you don't think because look, I gotta tell you, as for you as a fan of Draymond Green, I find it really hard to stomach when you talk about somebody playing in that kind of physicality, shoving people over, stepping on them, getting in there. Like Draymond Green has the most ejections of any
yeah.
NBA player.
And I would agree that I love him as a player, but I think he probably I think he probably has a little bit of a problem. Like
The
he
NBA
has
suspended him and told him he definitely had a problem.
yeah, so so to your point, I appreciate the fire that he brings. And maybe the same could be said about Angel Reese, but in the same way that people have issues with the way that Draymond treats people sometimes, I could look at that potentially the same. So like I mean, I don't know that there's many examples of Angel Reese stepping on people's chests and freaking choke holding
Well,
people
thank heavens.
like Draymond.
Thank
But
heavens.
but you know what I mean. So it's like I think maybe she could be the bad guy that brings that fire. So I mean, there's something to be said there. But hopefully it doesn't get to that point where you're talking out, saying we're friends, but then on the court you're still beating the crap out of each other. Like I think there's a difference between Draymond playing hard with some people and then like legitimate, like he and Rudy. There's a reason he put Rudy in a chokehold. It wasn't like he was defending Clay, but he also freaking hates Rudy.
Man.
So I think there is like, yeah. Anyway.
Well, I guess my only because I was when fresh off the first of all, Caitlin Clark. For those who don't know, first ever triple double by a rookie in the NBA ever.
WNBA.
Yeah. First ever rookie women's national NBA, right? Yeah. Gets a triple. First ever in the entire franchise of the Indiana Fever. First Indiana Fever player ever to record a triple double, let alone a rookie. So she broke 2 records, and I'm walking away, and I watched them take. First of all, have you yet watched a full WNBA game this season, Naaman?
The full game?
Yeah.
No, just the highlights.
Okay. But in years past, had you even watched the highlights?
No.
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 And I have to tell you, part of my appreciation for Caitlin Clark comes from my realization that she did this to me. That like,
Yeah.
I never watched a women's in Rachel. It was during the women's NCAA tournament, and she comes in and I'm watching Iowa play whoever they're playing, and she was like, "I didn't know you watched women's basketball," and I was like, "I didn't know I watched it either."
Yeah, it was the same way. I was watching the championship, and Kristen's like, "Wait, basketball's going on?" I was like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Well, who's playing?" And I was like, "Well, there's this chick named Caitlin Clark." She's like, "You're watching women's basketball," and I was like, "Yes,
Yeah,
I am."
yeah, I am. So I
Uh,
watched the Liberty and which the Liberty has been essentially my favorite team. I think I told the story last time. I dated a girl from New York, and so when the WNBA got a team in New York, I was like, well, I guess that's my team because I don't have any other way to pick a women's basketball team. Fast forward to 2024, Sabrina Ionesco, Oregon Duck,
mhm.
quack quack, is on and I'm like, this is perfect. So I watched the Liberty and the Fever, and it was so hard not to root for the Fever because Caitlin is, again, she did this to me. Like, I want to be
Yeah.
loyal to I'm only watching because back in college, she broke the all-time record, women or men. No one in college has ever scored more points with a basketball in their hand than Caitlin Clark, which is crazy. She beat
Yeah.
Pete Maverick. Like,
Yeah.
what's up, Tyler? Welcome onto the show, Tyler. Good to see you. Tyler, tell us, are you watching women's college or pro since Caitlin Clark essentially took the country by storm? And I definitely think everybody can make the argument that the Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, real or made up by the media, has blown the sport up big time.
Yeah. I'd say so.
It's put a so I told you I'd at least show you one person. It wasn't hard to find. Russell Westbrook clearly said, "When I hoop, I have no friends," and I'm pretty sure if you go back.
Dylan Brooks is the same way. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I heard out of Brunson's mouth too the same thing. Like, bro, I'm not interested in having friends between the lines. Okay, what was my other da 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 da? Oh my gosh, where is? Okay, so fresh off that triple double, I was absolutely sure that Caitlin Clark was the greatest. I'm thinking rookie of the year's in the bag. Unfortunately for Angel Clark, she
Caitlin Clark.
unfortunately for Angel Reese,
Angel Reese.
there is a lot of, again, it's going to be really hard for her to break that villain role, and Caitlin Clark essentially refuses to feed that fire.
Yeah. She doesn't engage in any of it.
Not just on the, like, even in press conference, she literally refuses to. She's like, there isn't a rivalry. Whatever helps women's the WNBA viewership, I'm for. Like, this is a game of basketball. Y'all are taking it too seriously. You guys are creating this rivalry. I'm here to just be the best I can for the Indiana Fever. She like refuses. Okay. So you've seen the highlights and you've heard the hype, because I'm interested, Tyler. You don't live in the state of Iowa. Ammon and I both happen to live in the state of Iowa, and so it's hard to know, like, outside of this Iowa lens, like, are we the only ones who care, or do other people around the country? So Tyler, are you still seeing headlines pop up? Do you see things in your social media feed? Like, what is the exposure? Because you're in Florida, right, Tyler? That would be interesting to know if anybody gives a dang in the state of Florida. But once I saw that stat that she broke Candace Parker's NBA record of 13 consecutive double doubles, I was like, oh man, that's really serious, because that's playing consistently great 13 games in a row. Here's the other Ammon, I don't know. Do you know what the number is of the most double doubles in a WNBA single season?
No.
So it's 22, and Angel Reese only has to do this 9 times between now and the end of the year, and she will tie. If she does it 10 times, she will hold as a rookie the single season record for double doubles as a rookie, Angel Reese. She just has to do this 9 more times. And I find it hard to believe, stat padding or not, getting her own rebound or not, it's going to be pretty easy for her to do this 9 more times. What do you think?
When the season, I mean, do they have the same season length, like 78?
I don't think they do. I think they're fast approaching the halfway point on the All-Star break. Let me take a look to see. I don't think they have the same. Oh man. Season schedule. Da-da. Oh, WNBA. Come on. Okay. Game scores, events. Okay. All months. When does this go to? August, I'm seeing games. September. Do they really? September. Because when does the NBA kick off? Do they literally crown a WNBA champion and then the NBA kicks off?
I don't know, but I know that the NBA kicks off, I believe, in starts August. I want to say it's
No way.
November. I think is
Okay.
when
Okay.
NBA starts.
So it looks like only October, because it looks like the regular season ends on September the 19th for the WNBA. So easily
Yeah,
between now and September, Angel Reese could get
yeah,
10 double doubles and break the record as a rookie. And I think if she does that, now again, if Crystal Clark, if Caitlin Clark starts stacking triple doubles and
uh,
like I think it's going to be a great battle for the whole season long between the two of them. I think.
yeah. I think it'll so because I mean, at the end of the day, the rookie of the year. I mean, I guess it's possible you can look at it subjectively and say who had the biggest impact on basketball, but that's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, you know, objective are kind of the biggest thing. So I guess, there's definitely Angel Reese, we say, okay, she's broken double. There's definitely an argument for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Kayla probably like lead all rookie scorers or something like that. She stat that no other rookie has, which I'm not sure she has yet, but other than the one triple double.
Oh, you're saying that's the only, no other rookie has done this so far?
Yeah, like right now, right. She's done one major record, right?
Right.
So I think she'd probably have those, right? Kind of because you're advancing ball. Angel Reese is advancing by saying, "Hey, I'm getting more double doubles than any other player."
Right.
Right? Makes sense. Great, you're killing it, right? Well, Caitlin Clark's got the first, right? So if she starts doing a few more triple doubles
Right.
or start breaking other, barriers that have existed in the WNBA, then I think so. Yeah.
All right. Let's see who has. Alyssa Thomas holds the career record for triple doubles. What now? Okay. Alyssa Thomas, who also holds the career record for triple doubles, has 2. And Laisha Clarendon recorded 1 for the Sparks, bringing the total for the season to 4. Clark's triple double came at an opportune time for the Fever. So what now? Okay.
Wait. So that
So if okay, all right, hold
That's
on.
this. That's this season.
Is it? All right, let's take a look at this.
Well, yeah, the NBA triple double stats.
Caitlin Clark.
Uh,
Okay.
okay, that's not working.
Oh, okay. So far this season, Alyssa Thomas has 2, and Laisha Clarendon.
Yeah,
Okay. So, but in the entire season, she's only one of 4 times it's been done so far. So that's a little
right,
crazy, because
right.
the second she logs another one, she's tied for the lead in the league, and presumably if Alyssa doesn't get another one, she will lead the league in triple doubles as a rookie. Although it'd be nice to
Right.
to find out in terms of like per season. Did you find any numbers on per season what the record is for in a WNBA season?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, or I'm trying to look for it now.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I can see why it's knowing that only 4 have been logged the entire season. I could see why people are, because I think again you have Angel Reese, who's had 13 double doubles back to back and has broken Candace Parker's record, which is a huge deal. And I could see people like, well, who cares? Caitlin Clark got 1 triple double, but the fact that only she's only one of 4 players the entire season to do so kind of says like, well, a double double, sure, but literally only 4 girls have done this, and 2 of those times is the same girl. So that's crazy. I
so
go
okay,
for it.
so here it is. So who has in WNBA history? Thomas, who is was it Cheryl? Alyssa Thomas.
The same one.
Alyssa Thomas.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's the same one that's leading this year as the all-time leader.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So Alyssa Thomas, the top spot for all triple doubles in WNBA history, 9 in
How
her
much?
entire career. 9.
9 in her entire career?
Yes.
Okay, so again, I'm gonna throw this out there. Caitlin Clark has the ability to separate herself as something
Yeah.
very special if the all-time leader is at 9 and Caitlin Clark is
9.
at 1 as a rookie. If she finishes the year with 2 or 3, she's gonna be a third of the way to being.
Let's also put this in perspective. There are 26 players in the entire WNBA history that have ever gotten a triple double.
So she's already in rarefied air.
Already.
Yeah.
By getting a triple, she is in the top probably 1% of players in the WNBA.
So for those folks who are like, oh my gosh, Caitlin Clark, she's at least legitimately earning all of the hype now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not just the logo threes. It's the fact that she has done these things that literally have only been done a handful of times. Okay. Well, Tyler, I'm glad to hear that the highlights are getting you out in Montana. Don't move to Georgia, though. Montana is so much better than Georgia. I can't even tell you. Have you ever lived in Montana, Ammon?
No, but I've known, and I know it's beautiful up there.
Oh my gosh. We lived in Culbertson, Montana for 6 months, and it's 100% a place I would go back to and live in a heartbeat. Like, so good. Okay. So we've covered Caitlin Clark. There has been so I guess the press conferences have started for Team USA, and I guess people are still talking about Jaylen Brown versus Jayson Tatum and whether or not Jayson Tatum deserves this gigantic contract he got, and just the same usual. And he said you guys can talk a lot. You guys can talk about all sorts of stuff, whether or not I'm top 5, whether or not I'm this or that, whether or not I'm the best player. He's like, but you know what y'all can't say is you can't say I don't have a championship. Thanks very much for coming out to practice. So I started looking around a little bit to see like, okay, where does Jayson Tatum actually measure up? And oh, that's the wrong tab. I have so many ESPN tabs open. It's not even funny.
So the conversation happened not on Team USA. Is that why?
Um, I think that they were just. Oh my gosh, let me go see if I can bring this tab up.
Like were they saying that isn't as deserving as Jalen is?
Um, well, I think it's just like more of the same. Like he's constantly dealing with just literally more of the same. Um, in terms of having to hear all the critiques. Um, and man, I wish I would have known the question. I saw the answer. I didn't see the question, but I did some digging, and just to put in perspective, NBA players to win a title while leading their team in points, rebounds, and assists. Look at this list: Larry Bird twice, Hakeem Olajuwon, Tim Duncan,
Mm-hmm.
LeBron James 3 times, Nikola Jokic, and now Jayson Tatum. That is a heck of a list to be on.
Yeah,
Who
that's
have
true.
won championships and led their team in all 3 categories, and he is in rarefied air.
Yeah, he's 1 in 6 players right there.
That's crazy. So I think his frustration is, why are y'all still talking? Because like, what more does this man have to do? Here's
Yeah.
here's another thing that I'll put you. I know it'll get you excited because your boy's at the top of this list. Um, he's not my favorite, and Michael Jordan is on this list a lot. But you know who else is on this list? Jayson Tatum with 51 points versus
What? Okay, so
Philadelphia.
it's the most points responsible for.
Yep, the most points in a playoff game. Right? So what's the most points that have been scored? And honestly, the list isn't that broad in the top 25.
Yeah.
Your Michael Jordan is half of the list. I mean, just like in all honesty, Michael Jordan is half the list. And
Yeah.
then which lends credence to your argument. Um,
Yeah.
LeBron James,
Number
is
25.
he on there more than once? I don't think he is.
I think it's just that one. Yeah.
It's just that one, which I guess alphabetically Jayson Tatum falls before him, and so he's ahead of him on the list because they both have 51 points. So I'm
Right.
not
Right.
really sure, other than the fact that if you look at the game that he also had 13 rebounds and 5 assists.
Yeah, and 2 steals.
Yeah, good night. The guy's a beast. In only 42 minutes, it took LeBron James 48 minutes to get the same amount of points.
Literally didn't. Wow, didn't sit a single second.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yep.
That was Cleveland. Yeah, versus
Versus
the
Golden
Golden State
State.
Warriors.
Yep.
He literally had the entire team on his back.
Now you know who's on this list multiple times, which is interesting, is Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, he's really come out of a prolific scorer.
Oh my gosh, he is something special. But when I look at a player like that, I'm like, the Celtics can't use a guy like that. He needs the ball too much. We're too
That's a fair
interested in
point.
winning. We're too interested in winning. We don't we don't want a guy like that's a ball hog. We prefer winning.
Yeah.
Because again, Donovan Mitchell, for as amazing as he is, and he is,
He's actually bounced the last few years.
He's bounced around, right, from team to team.
Well, he was on Utah for a long time, and then I'm not sure if he went to another team before Cleveland, but he's only been on Cleveland for a couple of years, I think, at most.
Oh yeah, and was this his first year? Where is?
It was his first year, his second. Before that, I think he was on Utah. He might have been on a different one.
Game split stats. I don't know. Utah, Cleveland.
Yeah, so 2 years. He's been on 2 years.
Yeah. But I mean, it's even from his rookie season, he's at 20.5 points, and then he is a baller.
Yeah.
I mean, he's something else, but again, Celtics can't use a guy that shoots that much.
Yeah, no championships.
Nope, no ships, baby, no ships. Um, do you think LeBron goes back to Cleveland one more time?
No, not now that his son's on the team.
So do
He
you
finished. He finishes out playing with his son
interesting. Okay.
for sure. That's his
Interesting.
dream. I mean, think about it. As your dad, you literally are living the dream. You've played for 40 years, not really, but you've you've played for you've played your entire life. Like at this point, he's played longer than he was alive before. Like right or how like yeah, because he's played. So he's 30. He's 39. He started when he was 18. So he's played more seasons in the NBA than like not if that or
He's played
how do I
30
say it?
years in the NBA? No,
No
20
no
years.
no no
20 years.
20 but he's played longer in the NBA than he like hasn't if that
Yeah.
makes sense
Yeah.
that like there's been more time in his life spent playing the NBA than
Then
not.
not. Yeah. I mean, and that's a crazy stat. I really hate that he plays for the Lakers. I would appreciate him so much more if he wasn't a Laker. I just can't.
It would have been cool if this last season he's like jumping ship going back to Cleveland and oh and by the way now
Oh
my
my
son's on.
gosh. And Donovan Mitchell is on Cleveland. I got to tell
Yeah.
you, if there was like I know he talks about how great Kyrie Irving is, but can you imagine LeBron James and Donovan Mitchell? Holy sugar. That's
Yeah.
that is if there was one argument cuz gosh, is it the West Coast offense that says like we're just going to score more points than you? Like we don't care
Yeah.
about the yeah. If there was one duo that I think could pull off this. We're just going to score more points than you, and they average like 140 points a night. It would be LeBron James and Donovan Mitchell on that. Why didn't they think of that?
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, LeBron could quite literally probably have asked for anything in the NBA, and people would have
Yes.
given it.
Yeah.
Like, if he wanted to go to Cleveland and have them draft his son and be like, I'm going to finish my
Yeah.
career in Cleveland with my son, someone would have made it happen because it's LeBron James.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean that man sells tickets. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's yeah.
I'm really sad that he's in LA. I just can't.
Honestly, he's probably a little bit sad too. They've had some success, but they haven't really done much with it
They haven't.
since he's been. I mean, technically, in 2020 they got the COVID win, but I don't. That's a big old asterisk. Like,
What do
to me,
you like? They won the title?
Yeah, in 2020.
Did they really?
Yeah, during COVID. Yeah, during COVID. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 98% positive.
All right. 2020, Los Angeles Lakers defeated the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, so that
Okay.
was and everyone forgets about it, and
Yeah.
you don't think about it because it was COVID and no one thought the NBA was happening, and then they decided to do it anyway, and then they did the whole I don't remember what they called it, but it was like
in the bubble.
the bubble. Yeah, they
Yep.
literally called it the NBA bubble, right? Exactly. And so like you just sequestered everyone in the bubble, and then they had. So I mean, it was weird. I mean, you read the reports and articles that like literally a empty.
Oh, I watched the games.
Like me too. But it was
Yeah.
like an empty gym.
Yep.
An empty gym. It is not the same. Like it is not the same. Like the game is not the same game.
Oh, it's not without the fans.
And, yeah. Well, and I mean, even if the fans weren't there, if you had your home court, it's still like your home court and your home environment. Like again, fans were part of it, but the fact that you were in a neutral location a weird neutral and actually they put cardboard cutouts. Actually, I forgot that. Oh yeah, that's right. You could pay to buy a cardboard cutout of yourself, put it in a seat. Yeah,
that's amazing.
So that you would still fill the stands to make it feel like there was people there.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, I forgot that they did that.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, it was.
You don't think that's the most like it? They literally just boiled it down to basketball. Like they if you
No,
what
no.
no?
So yeah, like technically, there's an argument for that. Yeah, because you remove all the distractions and blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
Yeah.
Like, but my argument is that then that's not really basketball, right? I mean, if you're removing one of the most influential and most important parts of the game, then it's not really the like I so for example, I can go to a basketball court
Uh-huh.
and I can shoot the ball uh, better than most of the players I play with, and
I've
I
witnessed it.
still
I believe it's
well,
true.
and I would say that playing a game of horse or playing a game of just pick up shots where it's me and one other guy and we're just kind of
Yeah.
shooting around. I'll beat some of the best players out there hands down just shooting. The minute that you start the game dribbling the ball, passing it around, there's emotion, there's people, there's some people on the side watching or catcalling. It just changes the game. Now, sometimes it makes me actually play better, and then sometimes not. It depends on the environment. Sometimes it depends on the mental state, right? Sometimes it depends on the player, whether or not I like the player, don't like the player. There are outside and like things outside the game that impact the game that are necessary and a part of the game. So my point is, I can always sit at a rim and shoot at it and have no problems because that's just me playing basketball, right? But it's not really playing the game. So
Mm.
when you're playing in a bubble where there are no fans and there's no home court advantage and it's just guys playing on a court with each other, it's when I was watching it was like a pickup game. It was like a practice game,
Mhm.
right? Like it didn't have the same emotion, it didn't have the same fire, it didn't have the same momentum swings. Obviously, you can have momentum swings by making shots, but there is nothing like hitting a big three and the crowd
Oh,
erupting,
for sure.
and then the energy level of those
Yeah.
players just shoots through the roof,
Yeah.
and they go on a 10-0 run. That it's just not the same when you hit a big three and you know it's big and silent.
Silence.
Like,
I think they had a track though, didn't they, for crowd noise during I'd have to go back and see if I could watch some
yeah,
of
I'd
those
have.
games.
Yeah, I think they tried to do things like that where they created some sort of white noise
Yeah, yeah.
effect, but
Yeah. Oh man.
you know. So
Well,
anyway, there's a big old asterisk on that championship. That's for sure.
well,
In my opinion, some
they still
people,
got
some
the
people
rings
think
for it. They still got the
that
rings for it.
yep, that's true. That's true.
It still counts. It was their 17th where they
Yeah.
momentarily tied the Boston Celtics for a couple years, long enough for us to pull back ahead. All right. Is there anything in this list? Do you care about other teams? Do you have like second favorite teams? Do you have like teams that you have a soft spot for? Or are you like Golden State and everyone else loses 60 games?
Just a big West Coast fan. I think I like a lot of the teams in the West Coast. I
Okay,
think the East
so
are a bunch of
so
chumps.
so
So
what's it? Wow, says the guy to the champion Boston Celtics and his friend wearing his Boston Celtics championship T-shirt that was
yeah.
purchased by the loser.
Yeah.
Um, thank you for the shirt, by the way. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
So you honestly don't think the Knicks are going to do anything next year?
No, no. I mean, obviously, I think there's really good teams in the East. I think Boston definitely proved that they had something to prove this year. I think so the last few years, like I didn't believe they would win it this year because I've seen them choke at the finish line like 3 years in a row, the last few years. And so my opinion was always the best of the East just doesn't
Is
measure up to the West. The
isn't
West
good
is
enough?
stacked, and it's just that they just aren't good enough because the East just continues to bring their best and fall flat. It was a really weird year this year when you had the Mavericks, the number 5 seed,
Mm-hmm.
making it all the way to the finals, which obviously they proved that they, were the top player in the West. But and then Boston just completely spanked them and sent them home. So, I mean, I think there's definitely an argument that the East is has set the standard with the Boston Celtics, but I don't see a lot of other teams in the East that have what Boston has. And so I think it's still probably going to be Boston and a bunch of really good teams in the West fighting for who's going to represent the West. Like, I don't think there's anyone in the West next year. So Boston is the team to beat because they won, but also even if they didn't win, say for example, Mavericks beat Boston this year, Boston would still set the standard for the East. Not just because they're also the Eastern Conference Finals, because I mean there's an argument for that, but because like they've consistently over the last 3 or 4 years been the top dogs.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it's not really close. Like there's other teams that are obviously been really good. And I think there was a year where, well, obviously there was the year where the Heat beat the Boston Celtics. But it was just like this year kind of proved, okay, we've set the standard. We're the ones to beat. I think the West still has so many stacked teams that it's just going to be, again, another shuffle where you just have like the top 5, 6 teams just continually fighting for each other, constantly beating the East and saying, hey, get away. We're the ones deciding who's
constantly feeding the East.
You know, they're gonna be constantly defeating the East, and then then they'll come back home to the West and take the game seriously against their conference.
Oh my gosh, your humility is inspiring. It really is.
But they do have to take Boston seriously.
I hope so. At least they've earned that from you. Oh my gosh, thank you, Ammon, for giving us the East one team that matters at all. So does Denver do anything next year, or are they done?
Oh, Denver will be up at the top again for sure.
You think so?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So though
this is like the lamest off season, they re-signed nobody. They added some guy, I don't know who it is, and they lost KCP and Reggie Jackson.
So Reggie Jackson had his moments. Not a huge deal that they lost him. Caldwell Pope does hurt a little bit. He was actually pretty big for them.
Are you saying Jamal Murray's enough? Like Jamal Murray is?
Oh, between him and Jokic, oh yeah. I mean, you've got those two are the core, and you build the team around those two. But the thing is, you missed it. Dario Saric, that they acquired from Golden State. That is a massive win for them. Like,
oh really?
Oh yeah, the fact that the Golden State Warriors lost Dario and Nuggets picked him up I was really mad about that.
So because who did Golden State get for Dario? Which one of these people?
I want to say it was Melton. I think he was on the
D'Anthony Melton.
Nuggets. I think so.
I think you're right.
Maybe it's Lindy Waters. I can't. No, that's from.
No, I think it's D'Anthony Melton.
Yeah.
Lindy Waters definitely came from the Thunder, and Buddy Hield from the 76ers. So.
Oh, right. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it was Melton. But the so Dario Saric was their stretch 5. And the problem with the Warriors the year before, so not this last year, but the year before, was they had some big-ish guys. They weren't stretch 5s, though. Well, actually, I can't remember. One of them was. Anyway, but Dario Saric came in and just provided such value for them, in my opinion.
So he's a Kristaps Porzingis? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So he I think was over 40% from the 3. Like I think it was like 43 or 44% 3-point shooter. It was, and he's a big guy. He's like I think he's 6'10". I want to say he's 6'10".
Okay.
And he's got he's not going to bruise with Jokic because he's like
well, he doesn't need to. They're on the same team.
Well, you know what I mean. So like when he was with the Warriors, he was he wasn't the guy to guard Jokic. That was like Draymond. Draymond had bigger body, bigger muscle, bigger body. So it was more
plays
like
dirty.
Dario was in there when they needed a big enough guy to get rebounds, but someone that could be the 5 the stretch 5, where you pull out the big guy outside the. And the fact is, you can hit threes, so the big guy has to guard you, right?
Oh, I get
And
it. I mean, we have Al Horford, which was funny to a lot of people until this year, and then Al Horford hit threes in everybody's eyeball,
yeah, it's true.
including
So
his
Dario,
38-point game, by the way, in the NBA playoffs.
oh wow,
Oh, you missed
yeah.
that when Horford scored 38 points?
I think I heard about it and then I quickly forgot it because I don't care about him. But he's an old guy. He's retiring. So
Yeah, after winning a championship.
hey, that's the time to do it.
Is he? He's not though. Retiring. He's coming back.
I saw rumors of it. I don't know that. I mean, it's more like he had a. I think he texted on Twitter something cryptic, and people were all getting,
He's
talking about it or
he's
whatever.
not retiring.
No. So yeah, what sucks for the Warriors is like Chris Paul was interesting. He brought a lot of value because he had some insane plus minuses, and he had like his turnover to assist ratio was ridiculous. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame for one of the best guards in the NBA for just the stuff that he can bring to a team. The problem was he was intentionally brought on to really make the second squad, the not the bench, but essentially the bench, but the second squad for the Warriors highly efficient, and he did that. But it's hard to swallow when that's your role, right? And you're as good as he is, or you're as prolific.
Are you talking about
player.
Chris Paul?
Huh? Yeah. So the Warriors lose Chris Paul, they lose Dario, and they lose Klay Thompson.
I don't think Chris Paul was a loss.
I think having an all-star of his caliber and a veteran does a lot for a team like that.
But in this particular locker room, though, where it's so clearly Steph Curry's team.
Yeah.
What on earth would you do with a Chris Paul? Because it's not his team. Does Chris Paul even have a championship?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have a championship.
Okay, so it's not like when we brought in, oh my gosh, Drew Holiday, who is an NBA champion, who is an all NBA talent, who can guard like a mother trucker. Like, literally, what did you get with Chris Paul?
Yeah, I think their hope was that they were bringing high efficiency for the offense, because one of the issues with the Warriors offense was that it was super highly paced, but also high turnovers.
Yeah.
And that was killing them the year before, like absolutely destroying them. And so like Chris Paul definitely brought that efficiency and that consistency.
But who are they going to sit to play Chris Paul?
Yeah.
Chris Paul's like 50 years old. like bald guys don't go bald, but Chris Paul's bald. Like,
yeah, he's as old as LeBron, and LeBron's like 100 pounds bigger, and still like
and still scores 27 points a night.
Yeah. I am a little surprised that Chris Paul's still playing, but he likes the game. And
he got picked up. Control F, Paul.
Yeah, so Klay Thompson's a huge loss. I mean, basically,
Detroit.
I don't know what the Warriors are like this next year. In my opinion, there's no big wins that the Warriors have done in this trade season so far.
Well, and I don't think there's a path to be. Heck, they're not even better than the Rockets.
Warriors. I think Warriors are in for another really. And what pisses me off most about this is I'm sitting here and I'm like, you have the best shooter in the history of the NBA, and you're telling me you can't find a way to get deals to win championships. Because the problem is they're thinking too much about when he's not there. Like what I'm saying is they're thinking too much of, oh, well, we only have him for 3 or 4 more years, so we really have to think about signing people and getting people that can be here for 10 years or whatever, or building up the young guys. And when Steph's gone, what's our next thing? It's like, shut up. You have the best shooter in the world. Freaking get people to sign, get all-stars to sign with the best shooter in the world, and tell them they're going to win championships.
So does that speak to their locker room then? Is there an issue in the locker room? Like,
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, think about the last few seasons. It's been abysmal.
yeah,
They've got they they won a championship. Jordan Poole, who was the prodigal son,
I know.
right?
You can't stand
Of
that guy.
well, not anymore, but like he the year they won the championship, I was sitting there thinking, how amazing is this? A like second or third round draft pick,
Mm-hmm.
one of the last picks in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Warriors bring him in and develop the crap out of him, and his improvement just skyrocketed, just amazing. The year they won the championship, and he was kind of everyone was talking about how he's a starter. You know, he's going to replace Steph. He's Steph 2.0. He's the third Splash brother. And then, you know, training camp comes around the next year. He got his bag, his contract, his big money contract.
Mm-hmm.
Draymond punches him, and everything goes to crap.
Oh,
And Draymond does a lot of things, but he doesn't punch his own teammates.
but he does.
But that's the point. Is like
But he does.
Draymond, but see that's my point. Is Draymond doesn't punch his own teammates. He does a lot of things, but that's not what he does. So the fact that happened tells you how bad that locker room was with a player
Yeah.
who thought he was the guy.
Yeah.
Right? That thought he didn't have to, whether it was he didn't have to practice or he didn't have to try hard or he was talking smack or I'm the next big thing or treat me or respect me or whatever. Like he got a big head, right?
Yeah.
And it showed that whole season. It absolutely showed. So they say, get out of here, Jordan Poole. And I think that really threw things for a loop because the team had developed a really good locker room that year they won it. And then it all fell apart.
Yeah.
And then freaking what's his face? Wiggins has a terrible season.
Yep.
At the same year that Clay's coming back and having a bad season. So you literally have the same team that won the championship from the prior year lay a big old egg the next year. And you're like how does that happen?
It's
so it's
chemistry.
the locker room.
Yeah.
It's a chemistry. And so then you go through a whole nother year where you're like, okay, fine, let's drop Jordan Poole, add in Chris Paul, add in some other pieces, and it's like another flop. Didn't even make the playoffs.
I feel like they didn't. That was not the best. And it must have had to do with something with the business of basketball. Is all I can figure in terms of like the roster construction that they tried to figure out to correct what happened after Jordan Poole gets punched. Like,
I don't know.
When they announced the Chris Paul thing, I just scratched my head, and I'm like, a guy that tries really hard that you pay $3 million, who was an amazing college player, who's a motivational guy, who's a leader, who's a floor, like that would have been better than, because you can't, like, Chris Paul is old enough to know that you don't go into Steph Curry's locker room and start telling everybody how to win. He's never won. And Clay already has almost a ring for every finger on a hand. Like, there's nothing that he could say. There's no like steadying presence that Chris Paul, because he'd never taken anybody to the mountaintop. I just didn't. I tell you what, man. I don't know what to make of the Minnesota. The Timberwolves were amazing this year. I don't know. Do they care about any of the guys they lost? I don't think so.
No. I was reading articles about Kyle Anderson, and they're like, "Oh no, the Timberwolves, what are they doing?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me? They just threw the biggest wrench on the Warriors." Okay, so Kyle Anderson is trash. So
another great move by the Warriors.
So the Timberwolves are so happy to get rid of him, and the Warriors somehow are so happy to gain him. When I saw that headliner, I was so mad. I was like, "You're quite literally picking up a guy whose nickname is Slow-Mo."
Oh wow!
His nickname is Slow-Mo. You don't want to know why? Because this is how long it takes him to shoot a shot. Okay, count for me in Mississippi.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi. Oh, you're blocked. Yeah.
Please, at some point, actually, we're doing it now. Pull up YouTube and just look up Kyle Anderson shot, like slow-mo shot. It is the most obscene shot I've ever watched of a player in the NBA. And I ask myself, how are you playing a professional basketball with this shot? His nickname is literally Slow-Mo because he sits there and, like a fifth grader, takes 10 seconds to line up his shot and then shoot it.
His name's Kyle Anderson?
Yeah. So the only thing he's got going for him is he's still pretty young and he's got a big body.
Oh, man. And Rudy Gobert punched Kyle Anderson during a timeout.
Oh. Go figure.
Man. I actually searched on YouTube for Derek White blocks Kyle Anderson because I'm like, if somebody's going to block a guy that shoots as slow as you say, it's going to be a Derek White chase down. Oh, man. Okay. Kyle Anderson shot. Okay. All right, this might be. All right, let's see if this is okay. The worst form in the NBA. There's Anderson calling for the ball. He's got the ball in his hand. He gives it to somebody. Anderson's on the right side. Gets the ball. Oh, wow. Do we see that in slow motion? Oh, no, we never see it. Slowest ever. Kyle Anderson is warping time.
Anderson with his seventh rebound. And the lane scoops it home. Old man game.
That's a bad example.
And you've probably seen the greatest hits. The slow breaks where he's literally walking his way to the basket and his opponent simply doesn't know how to guard him at this speed. And Slow-Mo has a bunch more of these unguardable moves.
Knicks turn it over.
Oh my gosh.
Anderson, the crossover, the Euro, and the
finish. Did you hear what he said? His opponent doesn't know how to guard him when he's this slow. Oh my gosh.
His layups are one thing. You got to see his jump shot. I hope they show his jump shot.
Is there a? Let's see if we can. Oh, it looks like everybody watched. Oh, this is nope. That's all right, here we go. Can we skip it, or is it going to make us watch an ad?
This video. Moving on. Check this out. Kyle gets the ball inside the paint and does the slowest dream shake you'll ever see, and then
that's
hits
real
the hook
time.
Shot. Does this?
That's real? That's him in real time.
That might be. Yeah,
any bells? He's got the bag like Jokic as well.
To Slow-Mo, shot clock winding down. Turns the shoulder, got the buckets.
Look at the two of them battling on both ends of the chessboard. Only he can fool the Joker with the fade before he gets the floater to drop.
He really
is
definitely
born in the wrong country because this is absolutely the Yugoslavian style of play.
Where I go, you go, brother. We Yugoslavian.
He's got the slow flip shots, hook shots, fades, you name it. But the most underrated aspect of his game aesthetically for me are his three-point attempts.
We tied the record and then missed.
Oh man. Oh, and that's who you all just picked up.
Yeah. Oh. So we just picked up. So his nickname's Slow-Mo. So
I'm sorry,
like his layups and his hook shots, like whatever, whatever. But like his jump shot is so guardable and so blockable. It's just like, it's just obscene. Like anytime I watched the Timberwolves play, I was like, why do you have him out there? And I would specifically.
You're gonna find out, Ammon.
I know. And I was like, why is he playing the game of basketball? Because I was like mad that he was in the NBA and someone else wasn't because of I was just like, how? I was like,
that could be you, Ammon. That could be you. Instead, it's Slow-Mo Joe.
Yeah, it was rough. Yeah.
That's those are days when it's hard. It's hard to be excited about life when you watch that and you think that could be you, Ammon. That could be you in the NBA. I think you're way faster than that guy.
Uh-oh. Did I lose you?
No, I mean I can still hear you and see you, but you appear not to be able to hear me. Anything? I'm hearing an echo. Did Ammon freeze? Is he concentrating that hard, or did he freeze? Because it looked Ammon's not moving. We lost Ammon. He's totally frozen. So sad. I wonder if I can remove him and add him back. Did that work? Ooh. Now he's like the frozen. It's just his computer's just thinking about it. That'd be the worst if he was on a laptop with a. Oh no, we totally lost Ammon. All right, well the next thing we're gonna do, we're winding down here. We're gonna take a look at the Heisman Trophy. Whether or not, so there's, basically this episode is about like, being the best, and whether or not being the best in your particular category ultimately gets you anywhere. Whether or not this conversation about who's the best ultimately gets you anywhere, what you should do if you're a person, you're a competitive person, and you're, up against, being the best in your field, having to compete with, folks that you work with. Certainly, for kids in a family, I think that's probably one of the hardest parts about competition is being a kid in a family, especially if there's a lot. I don't know what's worse. I'll have to find out how many kids Ammon grew up with. Growing up in a family where there's very few kids and the competition is like, it's so obvious. We have 7 kids myself. And so, like it's like flavor of the week. This kid's the best this week. Then this kid's the best. And this kid's the best, and it's like, there's so many great things happening that I never really like sit down and, this kid is the best. There's certainly some that help me at work more than others do. And that takes a huge load off my back. But in terms of like, I don't ever long-term think about one of my, so Ammon, the next segment we're gonna flip to. So this whole episode is about competition and oh, what the heck? Okay, sorry. Somehow I accidentally hit the space bar and you flew off screen. How many siblings did you have growing up?
7 of us.
Okay. Did you, in terms of, did the conversation of who's the best come up among you siblings?
No, it was just inherently known that I was. So.
Oh man.
Y'all just accepted that.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait till somebody in your family watches this episode. If you make it to an hour and 23 and you're in Ammon's family, I'm sorry. So well then who's at the other end of the spectrum of your 7?
Well, so I guess sorry, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. I just can't wait to hear your answer.
Again, or can you hear me?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I can hear you.
Okay. So I think it depends on what you're talking about. If we're talking specifically about sports, I was the only one to play a collegiate, or not a collegiate, but a high school competitive sport. We'll say that. I was on varsity teams. None of my siblings were, other than my brother, who was actually, I don't think he played his senior year. He might. I think even his junior year, he might not have. I'd have to actually ask him. I can't remember because I know he didn't like football and he didn't play basketball.
Who doesn't like football?
He's an interesting guy. He has the build of he is so strong. He's one of those guys that doesn't have muscle definition, but is just inherently like a bear. Like that kind of that, like a lineman, right? The lineman strength.
Yeah.
These dudes are just muscle bound, but it doesn't look like they are.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's my younger brother. He's short, stout, super quick on his feet, super quick hands. He was a lineman, defensive and offensive. He was the starting center, I think, his junior year. Maybe he did play his senior year. I'd have to ask. But outside of that, none of my sisters did, and so in terms of competitiveness, I was always the most competitive, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because like we would be competitive in other things. So I guess as a siblings, we would have rivalries and competitiveness in like board games or like, family things. But when it came to sports, I really was kind of the standard of as far as like, setting the standard for competitive sports.
And none of the girls played?
No, my oldest sister would argue that because she did cheerleading, that was a competitive, and I was just like, okay, you can just not and quietly sit over there.
I do have a hard time with and I get the athleticism. I get that they do have competitions. I get I have a really hard time with women who they have to understand the history of cheerleading, like how it's viewed, what people think of it. Like nobody ever makes like tiptoes around cheerleading, I feel like. And there's such disdain for cheerleading. I don't know what motivates a woman to go into cheerleading.
Yeah.
The other side of it that was hard for me is, so we had a winning record my freshman year, and then we had 2 losing records in college, sophomore. And I mean, we lost a lot of games. And when you'd look over there and they're still cheering and we just like, can you just stop talking? Can you just be quiet? There's nothing to cheer for. The game's over. We're losing badly. Could you just pack it up, man? Just go home, put the pom-poms. Like, I never understood. And when things are going good, I'm sorry, but there's several thousand people behind that are doing a much better job than you are. Okay. And when we score a touchdown, I can't hear you. I can hear them. I can't hear. If you just stop running around and waving, we get it. Like, I just never saw. And because that's the actual, because, cheerleaders will talk about the competitions and the judging, and that's great. But there's a sport that looks exactly like that. It's very well respected. It's called gymnastics. And if that's the aspect that you value and that you love, just go do that sport. I don't understand the irrelevance of cheerleading and what draws people to this thing that I don't know anyone who's like, I just love watching those cheerleaders. They just make my day. They make the whole game for me. I'm so happy that they're out there. I don't know. Someone in the comments help me out. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to point out, what we're gonna wind down our topic on is, and there's a lot of these folks. So this concept of, right, we started talking about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and we're talking about Jayson Tatum, who still is taking a lot of flack. We've talked about a lot of other greatest of, and this is a list of, I think this more than anything is an interesting list, because Heisman Trophy winners, if I go down the list, I don't know who Caleb Williams is. I do know that Bryce Young had an absolutely horrific year. Devonta Smith is very good. Joe Burrow is very good. Kyler Murray.
Also, it should be noted, Devonta Smith, I believe, is the only wide receiver to win the.
Oh, ever?
Heisman. I believe so.
Well, I'm glad is that green uniform you see is from the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's my team. Okay, Kyler Murray, very good. Baker Mayfield, boy, that is an interesting story, because 2 years ago we would have said, oh my goodness, what happened to this Heisman Trophy winner? And he has found a new home in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and every article I read seems to say that they believe in him 100%. So that's interesting. Lamar Jackson, very good. Derrick Henry, very good. Marcus Mariota, I love Marcus, has never amounted to anything in the NFL. Famous Jameis, I love, has never amounted to anything in the NFL. Johnny Manziel ended up in the CFL, blew up his life, made every bad decision you could make, and I don't actually know where Johnny Manziel is in the world. RG3 was injured, never made anything of his pro career. Cam Newton, people will say, had some shining moments and ultimately kind of faded into obscurity. Sadly,
Well, he had. I think he made it to one. He made it to one.
One Super Bowl.
One Super Bowl, and then after that, disappeared. Like I'm pretty sure after that point, all his stats and losing seasons and just that was the pinnacle. That was the top.
Yeah, lost the Broncos in the Super Bowl. Well, you know who that sounds a whole lot like is Carson Wentz, who had an absolutely amazing season with the Philadelphia Eagles. Absolutely just tremendous. Gets horribly injured. Nick Foles comes in and takes him to the Super Bowl and wins and wins a ring. That to me is what.
Wasn't Nick Foles the third string quarterback too? Or was he the second string?
I feel like he was the backup. I don't think we lost another in between.
Okay.
Mark Ingram, I feel like was a decent player, but I honestly can't tell you really anything about his career. I just recognize his name. Sam Bradford.
So running backs win a lot of Heismans, and then they'll have, I think the average career for a running back is something like 5 or 6, 7 seasons at most. It's like 5 years.
We would not say that Mark Ingram is the same player that Derrick Henry is.
No,
I mean, Derrick Henry is a beast. That dude, that dude is a man.
Yeah.
And Mark Ingram never had the Sam Bradford has
the impact.
Sam Bradford has been irrelevant. Tim Tebow, outside of the 1 year in Denver where they brought him in and he carried the entire Denver Broncos on his back through the playoffs until they lost. Right? Most people will tell you Tim Tebow was a failure in the NFL. Troy Smith, I don't really remember. Carson Palmer. That's not the Red Riot, is it? No, that's Andy Dalton. That's Andy Dalton. I don't know who Carson Paul. Jason White. I don't remember at all. Eric Couch. I remember the name in college. I don't think now Ricky Williams did something with his NFL career. Danny Warfel did nothing with his NFL career. Chris Wenke, I think, was drafted, but his career as a broadcaster has been far better than his NFL career. Eddie George was something special. Okay, so Charlie Ward never played a single down in the NFL and was drafted by the New York Knicks and played for 10 years in the NBA. Never played football again. Rashawn Salam was nothing. Gino Toretta did not have a good Barry Sanders. Okay, so between Barry Sanders and Jaden Daniels, who the jury's out, half of the people that win the Heisman Trophy, who are crowned the best that college football has to offer, are not, despite being thought of as the best player in college football that year, don't amount to anything in the NFL. And as I think about this concept of being the best, what you're a competitive guy. You have a competitive fire, Ammon. What do you do with this concept of being the best, and how do you talk about it with your kids?
With them being so young, I probably should do it more. I haven't done it as much as Well, so I guess I'll say it this way. Since my oldest is only 8, what I'm talking to him about at this stage, so feeding him milk, not steak, right? What I'm talking to him about at this stage is not giving up, because that is the probably one of the fundamental foundational aspects of what competitiveness even is at its core. There's a lot of aspects of competitiveness. Not giving up is like how you even start. Like, you can't be competitive without that, if that makes sense. So like when I'm talking to him, when I'm helping him do something, when I'm building a Lego set, or when he's doing a project, whether that's completing a reading a book, or he's trying to figure out how to do something on Minecraft. Like, sometimes he'll get so frustrated that he'll just give up, and say, well, I can't do it. And I'll say, no, it's not that you can't do it. It's that you're not putting in enough time. You're not putting enough effort. You need to keep trying at it. And so that's what I'm talking about, is like, you don't give up. You have to put in effort. You have to keep trying at something. You have to consistently put in effort and consistently work at something, because that's the base of competitiveness. That, like, if I can't get myself to keep trying, to keep working, to keep doing something, then inherently I cannot be competitive with other people. It's just not part of the equation. And so, like, I'm sure since you've got older kids and teenagers, there's different conversations that have evolved from that point. But that's what I'm starting with our kids, is really helping them understand effort. Because right now as an 8-year-old, there's not a lot of competition that he has. Like, he's not trying to necessarily compete with his siblings on anything, and he hasn't really picked up, like, he started playing soccer for the first year this year. And so, like, he's starting to get a sense of what that means, like, in a sport sense, or in like a competition sense. But, like, I would say that we're still in the foundational principles of effort, not giving up, right? So
I have been surprised at how little my competitive nature has translated to the next generation. And part of, so the first, we really tried to give freedom of choice to our first 4 kids. Like, it was really like, we had seen what families look like when the parents made them do all these things, put them all in sports, had 4 different kids and all these, and like, the family's never at home together, and everybody's driving everybody. And I was like, I want our family to be together. I want our family to be together. I want to, like, and if we do this, they'll be everywhere. They'll be spread all over the place. And 2 parents can't go to 4 games. And they never ended up really choosing anything. Which, when I sit back and I watch the how did the Boston Celtics get here, and you listen to, it was really cool to get to listen to Jaylen Brown's mom, to listen to Jayson Tatum's mom, and those parents gave those boys basketball. Jayson Tatum will tell you, his dad was who gave him the game of basketball, who introduced him to the game of basketball. And I guess, your kids don't have to fall in love with the stuff that you introduce them to, but we probably do a disservice to our kids by, like, picking for them or not. I think about, I definitely wish my parents would have gotten me closer to football or even basketball at a younger age. What I know about the game now at, oh gosh, I'm like 45, I think, is if I had a younger body, I think, man, every now and then I wake up and I'm like, I want to be on an NFL practice squad. I'm pretty sure some of those guys make 30,000, 40,000. I'd make 40,000 a year to be on the practice squad for an
Yeah, there
NFL
you
team.
go.
Oh my
Yeah, you
gosh.
can do it.
That's the best $40,000 I could think of to make.
Yeah.
I don't know how soon thereafter I would be carted off the practice field. Because at this point my 45-year-old mind is stronger than my 45-year-old body.
Yeah.
And I kind of want that for my kids at a younger age. I want their mind to tell their body, like, no, we can do this. I can drive
Yeah.
to this destination. I can complete this homework assignment. I can knock out this project. Like, I feel you on the being comfortable with giving. I'm uncomfortable with giving up. I've made a lot of bad choices in my life from not walking away from things I should have walked away from and given up. But at the end of the day, there's no there's not a whole lot of look back moments where I'm like, oh man, if I would have tried, if I would have, I'm in that stage of my life right now where I'm looking at whether or not we're gonna really go the last however many miles to open this restaurant, and I'm really questioning, like, is this the thing to do? I'm 2 years into owning this building. It's never been opened for for people to come in daily and do whatever it is they're going to do. And if I don't get the building open and if I don't know that I gave it my all, like, can I live the rest of my life, whatever 30, 40, whatever life I have left? Is it going to be, am I going to be a tortured soul for the rest of my life? So I look at that list and I think some of the ones that are almost more impressive are the folks that amounted to absolutely nothing, won the Heisman, amounted to absolutely nothing in the NFL in their sport, but then went on to be, like, again, Chris Winkie is on TV every day of his life.
Yeah.
I'm not on TV every day of my life. Like, RG3 is in the broadcast booth. And that one's almost even more crazy because he really didn't have anything to speak of. I think he played one season in the NFL, and then his second season he was badly injured and never came back from the injury. And then I don't even know what the path was. But you couldn't look at RG3, you couldn't look at Team T, you couldn't look at Chris Winkie and go, those guys are failures, because they're participating still in the sport they love. They're getting paid good money to be around this sport that they love, in this universe of sports that they love. And so I think, only one person ever wins the trophy. One person gets the Heisman, one person gets the MVP, but that doesn't mean that you can't have a significant role in your own life.
Yeah.
And again, I know it's probably a played out record because I always talk about Peyton Pritchard, but when you listen to the other guys on the team talk about Peyton Pritchard, they never say, oh, it's just some guy who hits half court shots. They're like, have you seen what that guy can do with his 15 minutes of fame? That guy's incredible. And I remember, you and I talked about that they almost lost Peyton Pritchard, and he was really upset.
Because he said, I'm out of here if I don't get the playing time.
Yes. And the Celtics made it a point to value his contribution, which is absolutely not the same way that Jayson Tatum contributes. It's absolutely not Drew Holiday, Derek White, Al Horford, Jalen, JB, JT. And then I feel like too many people look and when they say I can't be the best, that they don't tell themselves that I can't be great. Like, just because you're not the best, or if you had a moment in your life where you won something like the Heisman and you are further down the road, that was high school and it's college, or that was college and now you're in your professional life. I feel like too many people say, well, ultimately I'm a failure. Instead of maintaining that competitive drive, finding a way to make yourself relevant, finding a way to make business your sport. Like one of my favorite commercials is the NCAA commercial that says most athletes will go pro in something other than sports.
Yeah, I like that. Yep.
And that's true. Like there's only so many professional sports, and the rest of us,
Yep.
sure. Like, do you and I watch? Absolutely. I love sports.
There's 32 NBA teams and I think 15 spots. Quick math tells you that's not very many people.
That's not a lot of people. But that doesn't mean the rest of us are failures. It means that we have
Right.
an opportunity to be great at
something else.
Something else. And 10,000 hours is going to get you to expert level of whatever it is you choose. That's math. That math has been done. The social science has been done. So no matter what happens with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, or what happens with Clay and Steph, or what happens with JB and J, like I hope everybody that watches this episode, that it's fun to talk about the nuances. Hopefully it was interesting to see Ammon start at one point and kind of go like, okay, maybe.
You had to reel me in a little bit.
I did. But in a way, I feel like I knew where you were going to land on that. And I'm like, I've spent enough time studying the other side of the coin, because I was really impacted when I watched Angel Reese's post game. Like, she broke down, and when she talked about what her life was like after she taunted Caitlin Clark, I mean, it's hell. It was like a living hell. The death threats, the critiques, the insults, the belittling. It was really terrible, and it was blatantly racist. To be totally honest about they did the exact same behaviors and got treated completely different. And to see Angel Reese overcome, not fold, say whatever, I'm going to the same league that chick's going to, and then to turn into consistently great effort. I think that people should they should fight to be the best. But if you end up not the best, there's still a life worth living.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. At the end of the night, when you tuck your kids into bed, is there anybody better in those kids' lives than their dad?
No, and I love it. Like Simon today just gave me a hug, and I said, I love you, Simon. He's like, I love you, Dad. You're the best dad ever. And I was just like, well, like, you just melt, you just like, oh.
I think that's why family is so important. Like, the world is really ready to just beat you up.
Yeah.
Once you walk out the door, life is so ready to crush you like a little ant that if you don't have that, first of all, if you've neglected it and there's nothing to go home to, if it's a house full of people that you have no relationship with, that's tough.
Yeah.
And was it oh my gosh, no amount of success can compensate for failure in the home.
Yeah. President Hinckley or Monson? Or maybe it's Monson.
No, it's before.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. Harold B. Lee.
I thought Hinckley was the one that coined that, and then Monson quoted it. But
David O. McKay. Man.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
David O. McKay, no other success can compensate for failure in the home. The poorest shack in which love prevails over a united family is of greater value to God and the future of humanity than any other riches. In such a home, God can work miracles and will work miracles. So that is my take home for tonight. It is
that's the mic drop right there. Let's go.
Is that?
Yeah.
Done. This podcast is now done. We're gonna shoot to number 1 on the charts now. Yeah, I think the competitive fire and drive should be there. I think a huge part of why you love the Warriors is Draymond Green, because he's like living, breathing competitive fire.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to. We don't really have that person. We had it in Marcus Smart.
Yes, you had it and you lost it. Yeah.
And then we won a championship, which leaves me really wondering about life.
Questioning your life choices.
Yeah, questioning my life. But I honestly feel like they're going to find a way to bring him back. And you know what? In a lot of ways, Joe Mazzulla has actually become that. That kind of, you watch how he speaks, you watch how he talks, you watch, the things that he's showing, like fights with animals fighting each other. He's showing the guys MMA fights. He's like, there's a lot of passion and fire and fight inside
within the locker room. Yeah. Gotcha.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and during timeouts and things like that. And JT isn't as much, but Jaylen Brown is very focused on competitive fire. I feel like he's like the blue flame. You think it's not hot because it's not like red.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah.
But it's white hot. So yeah, that's my message for everybody. I hope everybody gets to this point of the podcast, that it's a lot of fun to talk about who's best in this and categories and stat leaders and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, most of us are going to go pro in something other than sports. And that doesn't mean that we can't be, especially when you talk about a family, because there's only one mom and one dad in a family. Only two. The way to make a person is a male and a female. Only two people can make a person. And those two people can be the greatest mom and the greatest dad. And everybody has, well, there are some extenuating circumstances. And for those obviously that desperately want to have a family and they can't, it has to be tough if you want this thing desperately and you can't. But for the rest of us, as we learned from David O. McKay, we're kind of like, it's pretty black and white. Like, this is the greatest thing you could do with your life. And so I think everybody should take courage in knowing that, like, you didn't miss the boat. Like, if you're in your 40s, your 50s, like, you didn't miss your opportunity to be great. Your opportunity to be great is right in front of you. And you can wake up tomorrow and you could decide to do that. And hopefully Ammon and I find a way with our kids to talk about these really.
Still figuring it out.
I know, right? Well, I have an 18-year-old Ammon. I'm still. Novin got his license today. Third time's the charm.
Hey, there you
Third
go.
time's the charm. And I'm like, Novin, are you hype? Are you hype, Novin? And he's like, I'm like, what are you failed. You like rose from the ashes to claim greatness. And he's like, it's the natural progression.
You would say that. You would say that.
I was like, what is wrong? Can you please celebrate some of your successes? Like on graduation day. No, but how are you feeling? You beat high school. You've graduated. He's like, it's just what people do. I'm like, oh, I hate you. What is
It's just what people do.
What is wrong with you? He's like, oh, it's just that's what you do in your life. And he's like, and when I get home from a mission, I'll find a wife and I will be married. And I'm like, what? I was like, and if you don't love your wife more than you're telling that, then like you're saying it right now, your wife will, if she ever finds out about your lackadaisical, non-legendary love for her. I'm like, I want to make Novin watch Last of the Mohicans on repeat. Have you ever seen that?
No, I don't think that one, no.
Oh my gosh. There's this great scene where, so Daniel Day-Lewis is one of the Mohicans, and it's a story of, it was French and Indian War, probably. If I knew history better, I'd be better at it. But it's essentially, these sides are warring. The British are involved. The British are kind of marching through, and I feel like the French are helping the Native Americans fight off, right, these invading colonizers, and they take this woman he's fallen in love with, like, away, and I want to say it's a warring tribe that has taken her. Her sister is so distraught that she jumps off the cliff and just like it's I mean, it's horribly tragic. I mean, it's really like gut wrenching to watch. And he just yells out, "I will find you." And like you're pretty sure no matter what happens in this movie that they won't be keeping her, and she will be freed, and he's coming to find you. And when he does, his tomahawk is coming with him. Yeah, and it's just like you'll have to look up that YouTube video, like "I will find you" last of the Mohican. Just watch that, Ammon.
Yeah, I like that.
I just want to see that in my kids. I just want to see that level of like, life just rained on my parade, and I've got a freaking umbrella. I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'm coming for you.
I like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Ammon, thanks for your time. I know you got lots of stuff to do.
Fun.
It's great to see you every Tuesday. I'm going to get better, folks, of getting this scheduled ahead of time, getting what we're going to talk about ahead of time. You know, part of it is it's difficult because we don't know. It's like, again, this is like a sports podcast where two dads look at life, you know, through like our dadness and our used to be-ness, our used to be right?
I like it.
And try to see life through that sports lens, because ultimately that's why I watch. I'm watching for the post game interview because I want to know in that moment where they were, what was it? The Celtics were down 17 at one point in like game 3 at Dallas, and then they're like, nope, and then they came back to win, and that was like, I want to know what causes a person who's in the situation where that so clearly should go this way, and then and I think ultimately that's what's going to make me open up this restaurant, is because like I'm down 17 right now.
Yeah,
I'm fighting for my financial life. My back's against the wall. I'm door dashing, sleeping in my car, and on the other side of that is people are coming to my restaurant to pick up a DoorDash to take to somebody else while I work a great job for a company that I built where my kids can be on the premises with me. Tishrei can be running food to a table. You know, like that's the life. I want to work with my kids, and it's within reach, but I'm down 17 points.
Yeah.
So I just need Joe Mazzulla to show me some motivational.
Yeah, there you go.
I need Joe.
Send the man an email. Let him know what's going on. He'll help you.
I got to tell you what, in looking at the race for president right now, I called one of my friends. I have a presidential team of people that I consult with, because at some point I'm going to go so sick of watching these people that are our choices that I'm just going to say I'm running for president. I'm sick and tired of I can't do it anymore. And if this is what passes for presidential candidates, then I can be a presidential candidate.
It's true.
And so I called Chuck up, and I'm like, Chuck, is this it? I'm watching the highlights of the debate, and I'm like, is this the time where I step out of the shadows and I'm like, all right, America, you don't have to choose between Tweedledee and Tweedledum. You have a third choice. Who's not a moron? And he was like, no, and I'll tell you all the reasons why. And I was like, well, my podcast starts in 19 minutes, so I'm going to call you back. I'd called him a couple hours ago after I watched Jon Stewart give the rundown, and I was just
Uh-huh.
I watched literal clips in which there's not even a need to edit anymore. You used to have to edit things together to make someone look stupid on the media. You
Yeah.
don't even have to edit anymore. You can just press play and just watch them, and they do it with no editing. It's
Yeah.
mind-boggling to me that these are our two choices for president of the United States of America. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. But we're going to be great. Am and I have no doubt you're going to be great at whatever what your HR-ness is that
Yeah, we'll say that. Well, technically IT, but my title is still in HR.
in HR. Well, I have no doubt that you're the baddest HR IT guy that there is on
There you
planet
go.
Earth. And I'm sure your kids are thankful for you every day. I'm certainly thankful for the work you do in the youth program of our church.
No, thanks.
Yeah, thank you for your service. So everyone be great. That's the moral of the story. And don't let, again, I showed you the list, and like half the list are losers according to, did your NFL career match, did your professional football career match the pinnacle you reached in college? And the answer is half of them absolutely not. But again, everything from watching Danny Cannell every day on CBS Sports HQ and watching Tim Tebow be absolutely phenomenal, and the amount of lives that Tim Tebow has changed that have nothing to do with football. Charlie
It's true.
Ward played in the NBA for 10 years. The Heisman Trophy winner of college football played in the NBA for 10 years.
Yeah.
Wrap your mind around that, okay?
Yeah.
So you too
Yeah.
can be great. Well, thanks everybody for joining us in. Join us next Tuesday at 8:45 p.m. I will try to get that scheduled ahead of time, and with any luck, some big breaking news will happen in the next 3 days, and then I can have it scheduled out for days. But plan to join us next Tuesday night for the Wash Up and the Wannabe, and everybody be great. Find a reason to be great, because you are, and we believe in you, even if you don't believe in yourself. And we'll see you next time on the Wash Up and the Wannabe. Thanks, everybody. Good night.